Would you go off-roading in a stock 1987 Nissan Stanza? We did, and here's how it went. For a local area called the Hall of Fame, just to access the point that we're going to be testing the off-roading on. This is a common area for four-wheelers and some local art. It's a really exciting area. This is kind of the only way to get to where we're going, so this is where we started. But here was definitely our starting test of what the Stanza could do. It had a narrow bridge that we weren't too sure we were actually going to make it through. But thankfully the Stanza did make it through, and this is actually where we're going to start seeing some real off-roading. This is where we hit the four-wheeler trails. This Stanza is actually a 4x4, it is all-wheel drive. And so that's really what we're testing here right now. Stanza came out in 1987. It's a four-door with four-wheel drive. It has 97 horsepower and 114 pounds of torque. It's a 5-speed manual and has a 0 to 60 of 13.5 seconds. The camera does cut out here, unfortunately, but this was our first big hill. This Stanza here, you can't actually put it at full throttle. Max you can do is 90%, otherwise it'll die. So that was a little hard. We backslid a little bit, but we did make it through. So this is another spot here where we actually weren't able to make it over the hill we were trying to go to. So we're going back a little bit, and then we're actually going to try and go up a different point of entry. Bear in mind that we are not able to go full throttle in four-wheel drive, so it does get a little limiting. Original MSRP of the 1987 Nissan Stanza was $11,299. It features a spark ignition 4-stroke gasoline engine, 17 miles per gallon city, 21 highway, and a combined of 18 miles per gallon. We were really trying to get over this hill and it just wasn't working, so we're having to take a step back, and he goes at it again. You're about to see the camera cut out, but we made it over the hill. This is super exciting. This vehicle actually belongs to Steve. He's a local mechanic, and this is going to be a company car for him. But we really had to get an idea of what the vehicle could do and what work it needed. Currently, the only thing that's been done to this car is an exhaust tip. As you can see here, where we were going to exit was actually a cliff, so we had to flip it around again. And this time you're actually going to get to see us go downhill in the Stanza. It takes the hills and bumps, everything really well. See, here we are re-entering the drainage tunnels just that way we can get back to the shop. Our goal is to make it to the shop without touching public roadways. We went about 10 miles actually off-road. As you can see here, the gates are closed, so we have to go over the edge, which is a little bit of a climb for the Stanza. Here was a really fun one for us as well, just seeing a lot of the really cool artwork here. You actually drive over this overpass. There's not conventionally a road going by these train tracks. Steve is trying to navigate how to get back to the shop. So for several miles of this journey, it goes through residential and commercial areas. Not as much off-roading, so we're just following the four-wheeler trails right now. You can see there's some residential to our left. We're keeping our volume down, we're not bugging anyone, but we're trying to see how long we can actually stay off the road. This is definitely one of the crazy parts. We weren't sure if the Stanza was going to fit. It's actually a pretty tall vehicle, but we made it through. We made it to the other side, and we're going to keep kind of going forward, just going through some more drainage systems. It was going really well up until this point. We unfortunately missed a couple minutes of footage just because we were handling this situation. I didn't get it on camera. Once we leave this area, we actually enter into another drainage area with that steep angled concrete wall. We were really convinced we were going to make it until we hit the front end, scraped the underside, and hit the back end. Here we're trying to get through another small ditch, and then Steve does this. At this point, this is actually the second time we are face down stuck in a ditch. This is where we're really going to see that 4x4 power of the Stanza. At this point, the girls and I are just done. We are convinced we're stuck. We don't think we're going to get out of this, and then Steve manages to pull through. He starts really pushing the vehicle and starts to get us out of there. He is not thrilled. I had an open can of Monster Energy, which proceeded to flip all over the front seat when we did crash. I mean, right here, you can actually Steve doubting if he can get us out of this situation. That Steve is giving the Stanza another big push, trying to get it over that hill. We backslid again. This time he's gonna try and hit it one more time, a little bit more firmly. We're already talking with someone to get his totem. We are out of there. It's us off-roading a 1987 Nissan Stanza. We actually made it through. We made it over 10 miles on four-wheeler courses. And it took it. It does rattle now. It's definitely going to need a little bit of work, but the Stanza made it. Our question is, would you go off-roading in a 1987 Nissan Stanza?